Good morning, grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender HD, if you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Thursday, June 16th. And we'll be talking about this early MLB slate. We got an early one. We got a 4-game early MLB slate. Doesn't start till 1:35 Eastern. Then we got 2:20, 3:07, 3:10. So we probably even by the end of the show won't have the 3 of the games lineups out. We got the Oakland-Boston lineups out. And we'll build some lineups, take some questions from the YouTube chat. I always answer your questions. So if you're new here, click that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Right? If you want to look at the main slate, the later slate, the smaller later slate or whatever, they'll be doing that later today, 5 o'clock on Grinders Live, Crunch Time, which is free all season long, brought to you by FanDuel. So go check that out. I don't think there's any weather. There's no weather concerns or anything. Hit that thumbs up button. You know I like that thummy thumbs. The thummy thumbs are my friends. First thing in the door in the morning, Suki Singh, good morning. Doug Montgomery, good morning. Matt Mears, good morning. Daniel Hutchins, sup. Joe Mack, good morning. Tony A, this is an early slate show or a recap? Well, I didn't play yesterday, so it's hard to recap yesterday when I have no idea what the hell happened. So talk a little bit about the early slate, I guess, right? Kind of Tuesday through Thursday. It's up in the air. Whatever you guys want to talk about. I mean, really, if you come here and you watch this show live, because you can listen to the podcast version, get tons of podcast downloads. It's all up to you, right? So you type it in and I do it. That's pretty much the way it is. Peter Viles, Bros here. Good morning. Building some lineups for the early slate. I'm just playing one lineup, right? I have a doctor's appointment at 1:30. I don't want to have to deal with switching stuff out. I had a dentist appointment yesterday. Apparently my teeth are fine. Okay. But now I have to go to the doctor to figure out why my jaw is kind of a little swelly or something. Something's going on. But it's not a tooth problem. So it's something else. It's something else. And my doctor will say, I don't know what the hell it is. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Doug Montgomery asked if I played any season-long MLB. Nope. I haven't played season-long, I don't know, 17 years. Early 2000s. I used to be all into rotisserie baseball when I was way younger. I mean, I was in rotisserie leagues when I was like 11 years old. Like the classic rotisserie. Even the 5x5, like the deep shit, right? I only played in leagues that you had to be really serious to play. Those are the only ones that I found fun, right? They're the old school rotisserie. Like one league, you play AL or NL only. I preferred NL only. Play NL only. You play 4x4 or 5x5 category wise. It's not head to head. It's just you're ranked on those categories. You'd have a 25 man roster. Then you'd also have an eight man reserves, and then 10 minor league, the minor league squad or whatever. You have all of that, and then you have free agent acquisition budget. You'd have waivers every week. Typically, they process on Tuesdays. And back then we didn't do anything online. Back then, you'd call an answering machine. There'd be a secretary. As long as you call by Tuesday night at 8 p.m., then they'd check the answering machine with all the transactions and everything, right? Old school. And then you get mailed every week. You get them mailed. The stats service would mail you the standings and everything and all the stats. And then you'd have to look at like USA Today on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, or Sporting News every week would come out and have all the stats and everything. That's what I'm used to. That's what I played. And then everything kind of transitioned to, Yahoo leagues and everything. But still, I really only got involved in, I would play one league, and it would be a deep league. And that's it. And you get 12 people, or 10 or 12 people, and there's no one to pick up. Even when a minor leaguer gets called up, someone has them on their minor league squad. It's very rare that free agent acquisition budget was essentially for players that were changing leagues, because you were playing AL only or NL only. So by the trade deadline, an NL player goes into the AL, and that's a free agent. No one could have them on their squad. So that's my little journey through season-long MLB. Doug Murray says Stratomatic. Yes, I never played Stratomatic. I like playing the there was a digital game. There was a starting lineup baseball. I like playing that. It was a digital game, but the board, or whatever you want to call it, was like the stadium. So there was like a stadium there where I could find this. I loved playing. When I was a kid, I loved playing this. It was like AL All-Stars and NL All-Stars. Starting lineup baseball game. Is that going to, I don't know. Starting lineup baseball video game? Images? Right, yeah, there you go. Parker Brothers starting lineup talking baseball. That's what it looked like. Right, this thing right here. Right, with little buttons, and you get to select the pitches, and it'll light up where they are in base. You play a whole game with the AL All-Stars, NL All-Stars. Right, you could change the starting lineups. I would take stats after every game. I would score the game and compile stats throughout. Yeah, I had no life. Right, that's the game that I played the most. Starting lineups talking baseball. Where have it gone? When did this thing come out? Probably 1988. So yeah, so I was what, 9? I was 9 years old when this came out. That's what I was playing at 9. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, all right. Lucas Yanetsko, did you take advantage of any PGA rakeback offers on DK? So there was some overlay. No, I didn't play. I haven't played PGA DFS in probably since when golf, there was some golf tournaments when COVID was locked down, and no, there was no basketball or baseball. I think that's the last time I played PGA DFS. I wasn't aware that there was overlay. I wasn't. If I would have known, maybe I would have. Maybe I would have thrown in some lineups, but I was not aware. No one informed me. No one informed me at all. I don't know. I mean, I should have been looking out. That would have been the prudent thing to do. I'm admitting my mistake. Probably should have looked out for it. Okay. So what do we got on today's early slate? We got a ton of games with high totals. Right? Boston 5, Padres, Blue Jays, and then we got a Coors game. So basically it's Coors, and then we got one team each. And we got the wind is blowing out in Chicago, so I'm assuming that's why that total is above, right? Take a look here. In Boston, 14-mile-an-hour wind blowing out 75 degrees. Chicago, 89 degrees, wind blowing out 16 mile an hour. Okay, that's good. Blue Jays playing a dome, but it's the Blue Jays against the Orioles pitching staff. And then we got the Rockies and the Guardians. Tristan McKenzie's a decent pitcher, I guess, but still Coors. I have to assume that the Cleveland is the chalk, especially with some of these prices. Like Jose Ramirez, 6,200, fine. But some of this, I think Oscar Gonzalez batting fourth at 2,900, he'll be chalky. I also think Rich Hill is going to be chalky. I don't think they raised his price enough against the A's, 6,100. Although not a big fan of playing chalk Rich Hill. That typically doesn't work out for you. But you don't really have many other choices. You have Gausman, he's going to be chalky, right? If you don't play the teams that have like 5 totals, like you're playing Hill, Musgrove, Gausman. And then unless you want to play a pitcher at Coors, probably don't. I think the pitching ownership should be really condensed. I really only see 3 pitchers being owned. And it's kind of backed up by the projections. Right? I'm looking at the bad X projections. Gausman, Rich Hill, and Joe Musgrove are the only ones that have double-digit, just raw point projections. Everyone else, 7, 8, 5, 6, 4. They'll be low owned. I mean, the leverage here, I mean, come on, it's a 4-game slate. Coors is going to be chalk. You know what the leverage is, right? Do you want to play Chad Kuhl against the Rockies? Right? And then you stack, if you want to stack the Orioles, the A's, or the Cubs, that's where the leverage is. You're playing large field GPPs. I wouldn't be opposed to doing that, especially Chicago. Right, against Musgrove with the wind blowing out. I'm just saying, with these pitchers being 50, 60% owned, one of them gets killed. I mean, that's going to eliminate so many lineups, especially on DraftKings where you have to play 2 pitchers. FanDuel will be a little bit different. I mean, those would still be the 3 highest owned pitchers, I'm assuming. But since you don't have to roster 2, they won't be as high owned. Right? You may get, they have to add up to 100% total. Here on DraftKings, they have to add up to 200%. So let's I'm gonna just run 150 lineups. Now I'm playing the 121 single entry contest, which is what 200 something entries, I think, something like that. I'm just playing one lineup. So I'm not building more or whatever. Okay, we got the Padres lineup out early. Okay. No Kim in the lineup. Okay, so we got Profar, Cronenworth, Machado, Voit, Hosmer, Mazzara, Nola, Grissom, Alcantara. Okay. So the bat's going to update those. I'm going to take out Kim anyway, because we're going to run lineups and end up getting a shortstop. Let's see. Let's go over. We're going to go by batting order. All right, so we get rid of Kim. Nola's going to, projection may go up a little bit because of the batting order. He's up 2 spots. Alcantara, let's see. Let me hide unprojected. Where's Alcantara? He's probably not going to project all that great. Sergio Alcantara. Are we going to get? Well, let's give him kind of just so we can run lineups now without waiting a couple of minutes for the bat to. So 8.85. Yeah, he's never going to get that high of a projection, I'm assuming. Let's just say 7.5. We're just going to give him a projection. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Sergio Alcantara. We'll give him 7.5 and maybe give him 6% ownership. Just so we can run lineups. When it gets updated, I'll just replace them. So I just want to have something there. Yeah, third base, shortstop. Should even be projected at 7.5. Mazzara's at 6.93. So now I'm at 6.5. 6.5, maybe 4% owned, something like that. 3% owned. Is that fine? Just to put something there. He still shows up as a. I want him to show up better than Voit. So let's put him down to 6. That's still not enough. 5.8. Okay, so he comes in under Voit from a point per dollar standpoint. Okay, that's good. All right, it looks like the Padres are too cheap today. The problem is you got Hosmer and Voit are both first base eligible, and you can only play one. Hosmer rates out better from a median perspective. Better point per dollar perspective, but Voit obviously has much more power. But still, the differences aren't that great. Okay, so I'm going to run 150 lineups just to see. I'm going to be running 5 3s. Maybe I can run 4 4s also. Let's take a look at some 4 4s because basically my goal in single entry, I don't need the nuts. I want to run a little bit more 5 3s. 5 3s. Give me 5 3s. Thank you. So run 70 5 3s, 30 5 4 4s. Because in these smaller field single entry contests, you don't need the nuts. I don't need the best one-offs everywhere. I don't need 2 2 1 1 whoever hits a million home runs or something like that. I'm probably not going to need the nut score or anything close to it. So my goal is let me just get the 2 teams right. Can I get two teams right and two pitchers right? I probably have enough to win for a 200-person contest. Okay, we're getting the Orioles lineup now. Let's see if we have to mess around with that. Okay, Mullins, Hayes, Mountcastle, Rushman, Odor, Nevin, McKenna, Chirinos, Mateo. Okay. So Chirinos is going to catch and Rushman is going to be the DH. Okay, so Stowers is gone. So who's the only... So it's basically Stowers for Chirinos. That's what it looks like because McKenna's still there. Slightly different batting order. I don't think it's going to matter that much. I don't even know if I need to even replace it. So Stowers for Chirinos. Let's go there. Just do it just in case. I don't think it's going to matter. All right, Stowers here. 6.26. And let's go to unprojected. And find Chirinos. I can't see him projecting well. 4.5. Give him 2% ownership. I think that good, right? Doesn't have to be exact. I don't think I'm getting much of him anyway. Regardless. Point per dollar wise. Maybe I could raise him up a little bit more than that. 5.5 at even not 2%. I mean, he's a catcher. But he's 2.4 and Rushman's 2.8. I don't know how old he's going to be. You're 1%. Yeah, and still under Rushman from a point per dollar standpoint. Okay, so that's good. Okay, leave it like that. That's perfectly fine. When I refresh, I could do things later. Okay, so let's build 150 lineups. I just put in 2 uniques just to get a little bit more diversity, just to see what comes up. Right, let it build 5 3s, 4 4s. I'm just looking to get 2 teams right. Let's see what teams are under-owned, what teams are over-owned based on these bad X projections and the plate IQ ownership projections. Shannon Lambert says, wow, chalk Rich Hill. What could go wrong? He's only a finger blister away. That's right. He always has those finger blister problems. Now, if you're building for large field contests, you don't necessarily have to play 5 3s, 4 4s. On a 4-game, the smaller the slate, the less correlation may matter as much. There may not be a team that puts up more than 5 or 6 runs or something. And you don't need 5 of them from that team. Some team puts up 10, 12, 15 runs. You're probably going to need that. Kickstart says, it looks like you play a course pitcher in Toronto, Baltimore, Boston, and Oakland stacks. Not necessarily. I don't think you don't have to play a course pitcher. You could play out of these 3 pitchers, out of Hill, Musgrove, and Gausman. If you want to play the leverage game, this would be more for large field contests. You'd stack a team against. You'd stack the Orioles against Gausman, or the Cubs against Musgrove, or the A's against Hill. You don't have to do 2 of them. You don't have to do 5 3 and stack against both. Do you need that much? I don't think so. You're going to be sacrificing a lot of projection to do that. So I think you just won. You say, okay, I'm going to play the Cubs against Musgrove and play Gausman and Hill in that lineup. Or I'm going to stack against Hill and play Musgrove and Gausman in that lineup. Or I'm going to stack against Gausman with the Orioles and then play Musgrove and Hill. That's more likely to do than necessarily playing Tristan McKenzie. But you can't. Hey, anything can happen. You never know. Okay, so we built 150 lineups. We take a look at pitcher-wise. I mean, look at that. I mean, we're getting tons of Gausman, Hill, Musgrove. Right. What else are we going to get? They project double the raw points as anyone else on the slate. Okay. Okay, then we take a look at the stack summary. What stacks are we getting? 4+ hitter stacks. Tons of Cleveland. Right? They're going to be the chalk, though. Right? We take a look at some of this ownership. Right? But look, here's a Cleveland lineup that you play the Cubs against Musgrove, the 3rd highest owned pitcher. You could do that. Naylor, Jimenez, Ramirez, Rosario. I mean, it's a really high owned lineup, 312. But it's in single entry 121. You could do this. I don't necessarily. I wouldn't want all this ownership in large field GPP. We take a look at this. So we get a ton of Cleveland, San Diego, then Chicago. Who do we not get a lot of? Not a lot of Toronto. Barely any Boston. It also means a lot of the field won't get there either. So if we just eliminate some of these lineups, okay? So some of these lineups are really high owned. Okay. So let's go to these Cleveland lineups and start getting rid of some of these lineups just to see. Okay, 312. We're gonna do the game where you can eliminate lineups that are more owned than that are underneath, that are higher owned but lower projected. So like here, 315, get rid of. Right. And I'm just looking at the Cleveland stacks right now. So 312, 307, 303. So we have to beat 303. Here's 297. We may be getting rid of these lineups anyway. 297. We got to beat 297. 293. I kind of want to see where that line is. Kind of like, how far down ownership-wise do I have to go for the projection that I want? Okay, this still doesn't beat it. Trying to be 293.1 something. Get rid of all these lineups. And also, by doing this, you get to see which players are in those types of lineups. They give you a lower ownership sum for the projection. So here's 278. Try to beat 278. Like here's 335. Like, so just to describe what we're doing, it's like this lineup over here projects for slightly better, but is much lower owned than this lineup. So why would you play the higher owned lineup that projects lower? As your projection goes down, your ownership should also be going down. 276. Okay, 276, 267. Okay, as we go further down, we're going to be able to do this a little bit faster. You could do this in Excel. There's a way to do it in Excel. I'm showing you how to do it in Lineup HQ. And to do this in Excel, maybe that tool to do this type of thing, eliminate those lineups in between, find the ones that are higher projected than their ownership, lower projected than their ownership. Maybe that's something that we'll be including in the sequel to the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, the 4 Advanced Players Guide, which will come with simple, easy to use Excel tools. Or maybe you do this, right? Maybe you do this. She's like, I'm going to build 300 lineups, right? Or whatever in Lineup HQ. Then I'm going to just export those lineups, right? You export the projections, right, into Excel onto one sheet. And then you export your lineups into another sheet. And on that sheet, when you put it into the space, it'll show you on the side, you know, this lineup gone. This lineup good. Maybe a tool like that would be worthwhile rather than doing it manually like this. 267. What can we beat 267? As long as you export it by fantasy points, right, you'll be able to figure it out, because then in Excel you have all the ownership. It'll add all the numbers for you, give you a total ownership of every lineup, total projection of every lineup. And then maybe you press a button and it gets rid of the ones in between. Maybe there's it'll highlight the ones that you should be keeping, and then there'll be a button where it's like eliminate those rows. So you can learn how to do this type of stuff yourself. Doesn't mean we're playing these lineups that are above on the top also. They may be way too owned anyway. But I at least want to get rid of them. I'm only playing one lineup. Like if I was playing 7 million lineups, yeah, I could play all of these lineups. But you can't. 267, 253. 253. Can we beat 253 on these Cleveland stacks? 253. Because really, the lineup that I want to play is going to be within the first 150 lineups. So it's like I don't even have to rebuild these lineups. Unless I want to do something with the maximum total ownership. All of them are just too high owned. But most likely in the 121, I'm going to be playing a lineup within the first 300 optimals, which is really what's being built here. 300 optimals that also have a 5-3 or a 4-4 configuration. Do you have to? Can you play one-offs? Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can. I don't like weighing the difference between, do I play a 5-3? Do I play a 5-2-1? Well, it matters on the player. It's like, as long as I get 2 teams right and 2 pitchers right, I'm probably fine. Yeah, you got to get the right players between the 2 teams. Yeah, of course. My natural instinct on the slate is to fade Coors, but it's quite possible that may not be the best move in the 120. We'll see. That's why I want to look at the projection versus ownership. Let's get rid of some more lineups. 253. We anywhere close to being done? Because a lot of these are Cleveland lineups. 253. Like this one's 329. Like, why would you play this lineup? Even the one that's like 3 or 4 points higher projected is lower owned than this. 253. Injustice asks, will it be a video course or just audio? The teaching portion of it, just like the last course, is audio. But with the Excel tools, they will be a video tutorial to show you how to use them, which it shouldn't be hard. It's a lot of just cutting and pasting. Down, get this, paste it there. Okay, we got a Cubs lineup. Did it change? Please don't tell me that the Cubs lineup is different. Okay, Morel, Contreras, Happ, Wisdom. So we're getting no Schwindel. Wisdom, Ortega's batting 5th. Horner, VR, Hayward, Simmons. And who rosters ever rosters Simmons? So basically no Schwindel. Well, we'll worry about that in a minute. I'm not sure if I'm even playing Cubs. May not even matter. So 225. Let's try to be 225 now. Trying to do a million things at once. I'm trying to do this, talk to you, look at the lineups that are coming out. 253, 220. Oh, no, we have to be 225. Okay, let's go. These are just the Cleveland lineups. Because maybe I do. Maybe it's better off that I do play a Cleveland stack. 4-4 with the, with Tyler Wells. Geez. Okay, these lineups get really bad. Well, I mean, look, maybe Tyler Wells in a single engine, he'll be nothing owned, right? 307, 233, still to be 225. Okay, we're almost done. 221, 216. Let's go. Can we beat 216 down here? Okay, no, we can't. Okay, so the top lineup with a Cleveland, a 4-man or above, right, is 114. The bottom one is 105. So 9-point difference. Right, but this one is, pretty chalky. All right, so we got the Cleveland lineups. Let's take a look at the Toronto lineups. 306. I mean, look how much ownership you lose by going here. Right, like go from 104 to 102.9, 1.5 points of ownership, 1.5 points of projection, and you lose like 100+ points in ownership. So like, get rid of that lineup. Right, here's a line. Okay, there's a lineup we could choose from. Right, this would be a contrarian lineup. No cores. You're playing Morel, Happ, Wisdom, Contreras, and then you play Guerrero, Biggio, Bichette, and Springer. Assuming they're playing. Okay, now we're getting some projections being updated. Let's look at the Colorado lineups. 323, 219, 224. Have to be 219 on these Colorado lineups. This one projects a little bit too low. Okay, so let's start getting rid of the ones. I think anything over 300 we're getting rid of. Okay, I've made the executive decision. Anything over 300 we're getting rid of. 2 owned. I need something more than that. Okay. So down to here. Okay. But look, 48.7. You don't even have to spend all your money, all your salary. Do I want to play Ramirez, Rosario, and Gonzalez? Oh, playing the chalk. Let me just tell you, most likely I'm not playing Cleveland. I'm gonna try to find a lineup that's not Cleveland. Let's go to Chicago. Okay, we got Chicago. Even though we got to get rid of some of these Schwindel lineups if he's in these lineups. So let's see, 253, 182, 251. Can we beat 182? 182 out of the Chicago lineups. 165, but it has Schwindel in it. This one has Schwindel also. Schwindel as well. 124, 100. Okay, these lineups are just too low projected for single entry at least. Okay, and let's go to San Diego. Like in a perfect world, I think I'd rather play a San Diego 5-man with a Cleveland 3-man, and the Cleveland 3-man not being Ramirez, Rosario, and Gonzalez together. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. So 293, 269. Okay, can't be 269. 192. And we beat 192 now. I'm just showing you how to use the numbers. Look, we're not talking about players. Who's going to hit a home run? I have no idea. How can I organize the numbers better to get a lineup that has higher expected value for the contest that I'm playing? That's it. Especially when you're only playing a few lineups. It's not that complicated. You could do this. Look, you could do this. If you use Excel, if you have a little bit more streamlined process, you could do this in less than 5 minutes. It'll take you longer to build the lineups than to choose the lineup. All right, 192. Let's beat out 192. 183. 182. Okay, we got rid of those. Okay, so we're down. We're not down to that many lineups. All right, let's compare some of them together. All right, here's one: Ramirez, Rosario, Gonzalez, 112. Like, do I want to play all 3 of them together? Okay, this one doesn't have Gonzalez; it has Straw in it. Okay, so I'm making the executive decision to do that. Do I want to play 3 chalky players all together? I mean, yeah, they're correlated to each other. I get it. But they're also going to be much higher owned in single entry as well. Kickstart says, I think Wisdom and Morel should come up at least 5%. Yeah, it's possible. I could always change. You could always change the numbers and then rerun your lineups. You could do that. Like I said, like you have different numbers. You want to use your own projections. The process is still the same. I'm telling you what lineup. I'm using the Bad X projections and the Plate IQ ownership projections. If you want to change anything, change it and then do this. You may come up with different lineups. Okay. So let's see, 293, 297 between these two. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of the ones that are Ramirez, Rosario, and Gonzalez. I think the combination. Do I want? I don't. I want a little bit more leverage. Combinatorially, however you pronounce that. So okay, even though they project well, right? Ramirez, Rosario, Gonzalez. Okay, Ramirez, Rosario, Straw. Okay, so 2 out of 3. Rosario, Gonzalez, Straw. Okay, so it doesn't have Ramirez. This one doesn't have any. The Cleveland. Rosario, Gonzalez with no Ramirez. Okay. Quan. Okay, only have 2 of them in there. Ramirez, Rosario, Straw. Okay. This doesn't have any. There's Colorado lineups. Okay. Okay, that isn't bad. 105, 106, 107. Yeah, I don't want to play this. Tyler Wells in my lineup? No. Okay, so now we're down to 9 lineups to choose from. Okay. So in comparison to it, you're dropping down from 112 to 111.92, and you're eliminating a little bit more ownership. I don't mind doing that, especially if I could get it different than a 1, 2, 5-man Cleveland stack. So I prefer to just not be on Cleveland as much. I don't mind having a 3-man. But the difference in projection here is 0.1, is that worth 24 points in ownership? I think so. So I'm going to get rid of the higher owned lineup. Look how much you drop now. Between here's a 5-3 with the Padres and the Cleveland. And this one is Padres and the Cubs. And look, the difference in median projection is what? 0.6 something? A little bit more than a half a point. But look how much ownership you give up. So yeah, let's get rid of this lineup. Okay, so right here, we have the highest projected lineup for the lowest ownership. Because here, look, 276. Hey, get out of here. 267. Get out of here. 253. 180. Okay, here's one. Okay, so you're giving up 2 points in projection fully. You're still getting a very similar lineup. You basically you're getting Hill Gausman, 5-man Padres, 3 Cubs. Just 3 different Cubs. It's slightly different lineup. Voit, Cronin with Machado, Grissom profile. I mean, look at it only spends 48-1. You got Horner in there, Happ, Contreras, because what? Shortstop is pretty weak today, right? Horner's batting up in the lineup, right? He's batting what? He looks like he's batting 6th. That isn't bad. Okay. Is this ownership worth 2 points? I don't think so. Okay, now we're dropping almost 4 points, but not giving up. And still, it's only about 10 points in ownership. No. This one's even more owned. And right. Why would you play a lineup that is almost about 5 points lower projected for 20 points more ownership, 25 points more ownership? No, I don't want it. And then we're done. There you go. Here's my line. Done. We could build more if we want and possibly find ones that are close to this, but it's like, okay, I found it. Single entry. Right? People say that, oh, I don't need to use lineup HQ. I just play one lineup. I just play 3 lineups. You can use lineup HQ as a research tool. Put in your numbers. You don't even have to use. You could sign up for RotoGrinders. Click on that link in the description. Get 10% off, $10 off your first month. You can use lineup HQ and import your own projections, your own ownership. It's just a tool. So if you don't want to use our projections, our ownership, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, okay. Here's the lineup. I'll show you. I do what I say. Right? These are all confirmed lineups, right? So no one's going to get scratched, right? Right? We have the Padres line. Yeah, okay. No one's getting scratched or anything. Well, there's no lineups out. I'll put it right in my phone. This is the lineup that I'm playing, which is kind of weird. It's very close to the lineup that I was going to be playing at Padres lineup. My dummy lineup was like a Padres Cleveland lineup. So I'm going to put in Contreras. I'm going to put in Voit. I'm going to put it in. This is the lineup. Don't dupe me in the 121. That's the only thing I ask. I don't know. You go around the industry sometimes and they build lineups and then no one ever plays them. Like, no, I'm using this show. This is what I would be doing. Grissom, Profar, and Happ. I have tons of money on the table. I mean, like, if I want to go up from Happ to Springer, I could. Now, would that be worth it? Maybe it will be. Let's see. Let's do that. So now we're leaving 1,900 on the table here. So I'm going to save this line. Okay. But let's say, for instance, I'm going to go here. Now I'm going to start turning this off. Right. 1 unique. Give me 20 lineups. I don't need running exposures. I'm going to turn off the stacks because I'm going to be locking people in. So it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. None of this is going to matter anymore. Okay. So I got the lineup. But a matter of, do I want to play this lineup? So I'm going to lock all these people in. Okay. So like I said before, I don't have to play Happ. I could play Happ, Horner. So let's say I don't play Horner. Like if I just optimize right there, Rosario, it would give me Rosario. So Rosario, in comparison, would be a 225 lineup, but give me an extra 3. Get out of here. An extra 3 points in projection. Maybe I would want to do that. Maybe I want to block and play a chalky Rosario at shortstop. Let's say I want to take out Happ. Springer could fit there. Gonzalez. Well, Gonzalez projects better. So look at this lineup. 111.64. On my original lineup is 111.28. Right, so not that much difference in projection. Less than a half a point. But the ownership goes up by what? 30? Almost 30? So that isn't worth it. I don't think that's worth it. Let's put Happ back. So I'm only replacing one person. It's just a matter of, do I want to play 5-3 versus do I want to play 4-3-1 if I one of these to be a one-off? So maybe I go through the positions. I go Contreras. If I don't play, okay, he fits in there. Voit. I'm assuming Voit. That's going to be the top. No, Crone actually is. So if I want to play Crone, it's only a slight difference. It's only a slight difference. About 0.3, and you get a little bit more ownership. Nah, I'd still rather play Voit in that spot. Cronenworth. Do I take out Cronenworth? Play someone more expensive? Nope. I don't get anything there. Machado, I'm not going to get anything better than Machado. But I don't play Grissom. What do I get? Still get Gonzalez. Basically, Gonzalez replaces anyone in the lineup in outfield. You don't get, really, you don't get that many more points. I think Horner is the only one. Right? So if I take out, so who do I take? A Grissom for Gonzalez. I don't get that many points. I get less than a point, but I get so much more ownership. We did that with Happ, right? Happ, right? You don't get more than a point, and you get so much more ownership. So I'm going to keep Happ, and let's say Profar. So you take a Profar, you still don't even get a point, and you still get more ownership. So you put Profar back. Horner is the only one. So you take out Horner, you get much more. Maybe this is the lineup that I play. Maybe I play Ahmed Rosario. So you play a 5-2-1, and you block with a 35% on Rosario to get another 3 points in projection. Yeah, your ownership goes up 30, but you're also playing single entry contests. And Ramirez is going to be chalk, and Straw is going to be chalk. They're correlated to those guys, so that's never that great. Right? We take a look. Rosario is going to be behind the two players, but maybe you do that. This would be a consideration that you'd have to make. Is the 3 points of projection worth this ownership? Possibly. Now, the half a point difference, no, I'd rather keep the correlation, right, than have Gonzalez in my life, a chalky Gonzalez. But this is a different story. Horner versus Rosario is a much different projection. And especially since the correlation between the Cubs, like the other two Cubs players in my lineup, are Contreras and Happ. Horner's batting 6th, right? It's not like I have a 5. If I had a 5-man Cubs stack, then maybe I keep Horner. But it's not like I have a 5. Like the Padres, I'd rather keep as a 5-man. The correlation matters a little bit more. On a 3-man, it doesn't matter as much. It still matters, but not as much. So maybe I play Rosario over Horner and play a 5-2-1. From a projection standpoint, I think that for the single entry contest, if this was the large field, I'd probably side more with Horner. In the single entry, maybe Rosario, especially at a weak shortstop position. Yeah, I'm changing. I'm doing it. I'm making the executive decision. I think the projection is worth it. I'm going to replace Horner with Rosario. And now we're leaving 800 on the table instead. So there we go. Done. There's the lineup. We'll save that one. Right? So we got those two lineups. You can compare them two together. There, that is making a single entry GPP lineup. Done. We use lineup HQ and we did it. You know what someone should do now? They should play the lineup that has Horner in it. Right? Because that wouldn't be a dupe, right? You play that lineup and I'll play this line. Just don't do my line. Let's see. Eric Moore says, is Wells Hill pitching combo too big of a risk in large GPP? It depends on the rest of your lineup. There's no such thing as too big of a risk. If you want to win first place, you have to take risks. Robert Thompson says, I'm behind in watching this video, but this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Dun, 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 dun. Anyone ever says that, I always quote that. What, Montel Jordan or whatever his name is. I love that there's very little opinion on who is hot and hitting, right? It's all taken care of in the projections. Says, thank you for doing this, man. Hit that thumbs up button. Thank me that way. Swolfdab says, Mr. Blender, in your experience, how often is the chalk pitcher in the winning GPP lineup? There's no answer to that question. What does that matter? The chalk pitcher. Well, it depends on the teams that hit. It depends on the rest of the lineup. There's no such thing as that number doesn't matter, nor does it exist. Let's say the worst pitcher in baseball is the chalk that just happens to be the chalk today. Tyler Wells is 84% owned. Well, it's horrible that he's 84% owned. Most likely he's not going to be in the winning GPP lineup. He's bad. Well, actually, he's more likely to be in the winning GPP lineup because he's 84% owned. So let's say the worst. Let's use the extreme example. Tyler Wells or whoever, whatever crap pitcher today. Chad Kuhl is 99. Literally, in your contest, everyone has, except for you. Except for you. You don't. What's the chances that Chad Kuhl is in the winning GPP line? Extremely high. Even if he puts up negative 20 points. Why? Just 30,000 other people have. So think how that is flawed thinking. How often is the chalk pitcher? The chalk pitcher doesn't have to be the highest scoring pitcher. But because he's in more lineups, he's more likely to be in the winning GPP lineup, regardless of the score. That's not the right question to ask. The right question to ask is the lineup over or under owned for their projection? That's why we went through this process. You could play lineups with lower projections today in large field contests that don't have Hill and Gausman. Right? I'm playing two chalky pitchers, right? But they project so much more than all those other pitchers that are in the single digits. So in order to play any of the other pitchers other than Hill, Gausman, or Musgrove, you're going to be sacrificing a lot of projection to do so. Now, in the large field contest, sacrificing 15, 20 points of projection, perfectly fine. In this 121 single entry with 200-something people in it, why am I playing a lineup that's 20 points lower projected? I don't need to. So I don't mind. And in order to maintain a decent projection, these lineups have Hill and Gausman. They just don't have as much Cleveland. Right? And there you go. And that's where I get my lineup from. Josh Gillum says, scored 262 on FanDuel yesterday with zeros from Springer and Acuna. Baseball is dumb as hell. Yep. High variance. Welcome to MLB DFS. That's the variance. That's play every day, and you hope the variance goes in your favor. You never know. Okay. But this is how you can build a single entry lineup. People ask because they look at an optimizer, they look at lineup HQ, and they go, "Oh, why do I need this? I don't play 150 lineups." Well, good luck doing all this by hand. Oh, do I think this guy is a good play? That's not how you play. That's not how you play DFS. You play with lineups. You don't play with players. And once you put numbers to a player, and some type of projection number and some type of ownership number, once you do that, the players don't matter anymore. Obviously, you need salaries and positions and the teams. Once you do that, now it's just a matter of mathematically what lineups give me more relative value. They project higher than their ownership. And you want to play those lineups on a consistent basis. Doesn't mean this is going to win today. No. You were given odds on a 20-sided dice, 50-1 to guess a number. You'd have a 5% chance of guessing. You're getting paid 2.5 times what you should be for guessing right. So as long as you keep on rolling that die and guessing a number, you're going to be profitable. 12 Dub says, I thought projections were nonsense. No, they're highly variant, but they ain't nonsense. That's correct. Nerdy tenor in the chat. Okay. So give me some thumbs ups on your way out the door. Dummy thumbs if you like this. This is a process bit. I mean, you could do this in virtually any sport. Virtually any sport. You could, this is not complicated. People, especially MLB DFS, it's so high variance that, like, oh, how do I decide between these 100 lineups? Like, you could just do it randomly at this point with the amount of variance there is. People overthink it. They overthink all of DFS. Once you get the players down to numbers, there's no need to think anymore, right? There's no need to research or anything. It's all in the projections. Now, you want to have the most accurate player projections and the most accurate ownership projections, sure. They're not going to be perfect. No one is perfect. So for whatever reason, if you use our projections and you don't agree with something, change the number. Change all the numbers for all you can. Just, hey, start from scratch and just give players a number regardless of what it is. Make them up. I think Jefferson Profar is going to be 8% owned and he's going to have a 9%, 9-point median projection. Fine. Just come up with that. It doesn't even have to add up. Mathematically, once you do all the players' ownership, it could be too high or too low, whatever. Once you have them to numbers, then it's just a matter of organizing those numbers. The highest projection for the lowest ownership. That's it. Welcome to DFS. You do that on a consistent basis, you will show a profit. Now, if you're playing GPPs, most of that profit will come at once. This is not something, oh, this is how you win at GPPs every day. I'm going to cash or win. No, that doesn't happen. You're going to lose 90% of the time. Remember the example with the 20-sided die. You're getting paid 100 to 1 to guess on a 20-sided die. You win 5% of the time. But when you win 5 times the amount of money that you should. Because you should be getting paid 20 to 1. You're getting paid 100 to 1. So as long as you just roll the die, mathematically, by the end of the year, by the end of whatever, you come out way ahead. Even though 95% of the time you guess wrong. Those are two things. So it's like, it's not, oh, this is how you win at DFS every day. No, your goal is to win the most money, not to win the most often. I rarely win at DFS daily playing on a slate. I lose 90% of the time. But the 10% of the time that I win way more than I should. Well, at least I hope for it. Sometimes it's fair. Do I come in second or do I come in first? That could be a $40,000 difference. And that's your goal. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. You'll know when we go live. We got Grinders live later today. They'll go over how many games are on that slate coming up. It's more games than 4, right? Oh, there's stuff happening at night, right? So they'll go over. Dean and the guys, they'll go over the main night slate or whatever it's called today on DraftKings or FanDuel, whatever it's called. Then crunch time, they'll go over the weather. I don't think there's any weather issues today, but you never know. Rolf will be on. Cheese will be on. Cardi, whoever. I don't know who's on crunch time today, but one, 2, or 3 of them. And then I will be back tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll be talking MMA, as we do on Fridays. Fighting Fridays. And I'm also be recording with Mike and Liam, the MMA Ground and Pound podcast. That's part of RotoGrinders Premium. Get a combo premium package. We do the show 14 fights. It's going to be like 2 hours long. So that podcast, we break down everything. I go over DFS strategy. I go over tons of stuff. That's premium. There's an expert survey. That's also premium. There's write-up stuff. There's projections, ownership, everything for MMA. And then tomorrow morning, I'll give you a little breakdown. I'll show you the workings of my MMA sheet, like I normally do. Like show you some stuff that's going on here that I'm updating regularly, and how to attack that slate. So it's MMA Fridays, Fighting Fridays tomorrow. But good luck in your if you're playing the large field contest, win it for me. I'm not playing it. Right, I'm only playing the 121. Just don't dupe me with that lineup. This lineup over here, don't dupe me. I want to win $5,000 by myself. I don't want to split first and second with people. Okay. So I'll see you tomorrow. Right. And yeah, so hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door. And I'll see you tomorrow to answer your questions, your DFS strategy questions, like I always do on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.